In this video, we're going to take a look at the quadratic formula. Now, if you take a look at this question, I want you to solve this quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Now, this follows a quadratic equation because it's of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, remember that the quadratic formula follows negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Now x is equal to that. So what you're ultimately doing is you're setting this quadratic equation equal to 0, and you're basically solving for x. And this is how you're going to do it. Just substitute your value of a, b, and c into this quadratic formula and solve for x. So I want you to pause the video now and try this example on your own. Now again, this equation here follows the quadratic equation because it's of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where your a is equal to 2, your b is equal to negative 14, and your c is equal to negative 13. So using these values of a, b, and c, we need to plug them into the quadratic formula here and simply solve for x. Now in this case, you're going to have two values of x. You're going to have two values of x because you have plus minus this square root. So you're going to have negative b, where negative b is negative 14, plus minus a square root of b squared, which would be negative 14 squared, minus 4 times your value of a, which is 2, times your value of c, which is negative 13. Now all of this needs to be divided by 2 times a, where a in your case is 2. So now x would equal, the negative times a negative here gives us a positive, so we have positive 14 plus and minus under the square root. Negative 14 squared gives us 196, minus 4 times 2 is 8, and negative 8 times negative 13 gives us positive 104. Now this is all being divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. Now you'll see under the square root, 196 plus 104 actually gives us the square root of 300. All of this still is being divided by 4. Depending on your instructor, they may allow you to leave your answer just like this, or they might want an approximate answer as a decimal form, or they might want you to reduce this square root as much as possible. Now what I mean by that is, in the square root, if you notice, you can reduce this square root such that 100 times 3 is the same as 300. Now that's all under the square root, and this is all being divided by 4. Well, if you'll notice here, you can write this square root here as root 100 times root 3 because it's multiplication. Now let's not get confused between if it was addition. If I had the square root of 100 plus 3 under the square root, that does not equal root 100 plus root 3. This is not true. However, if it's multiplication under the square root, it can reduce to this here. So I haven't done anything wrong. However, this I'm going to erase because that's not right. So the square root of 100 works out to 10. And the square root of 3, I'm just going to leave as a square root of 3 because it's not a nice solid value. So I can reduce this value here to 14 plus minus 10 root 3, all divided by 4. Now again, depending on your instructor, they may allow you to leave it like this, or they might want you to go one extra step further because there are two answers here. The first one would be that 14 minus 10 root 3 divided by 4, and the second value for x would have been 14 plus 10 times root 3 all over 4.